Hello and welcome to Paro89's look at the Guild Wars 2 Guardian profession. Today we'll be taking a look at some combat footage and the weapon skills that the Guardian profession has. Just a note that this was taken during the beta weekend event on April 27th through the 29th, so everything can change, but we're still going to take a look at what the class has to offer in this incarnation of it. So let's get started. Alright, so the Guardian is a melee support class, which means you use various weapons to harm your foes and aid your allies. Now, something I'm going to make a note of right now is that your number one skill for all weapons except for the scepter and the staff are chain skills, meaning the more times you go through your one skill, it'll switch to something else, dealing more damage and adding more effects. Now what I'm doing here right now is I'm just going to pan through all of the skills that the mace has. The first three skills are mace skills, the last two skills are shield skills. And then I can't talk about the Guardians without talking about the virtues. Virtues give you passive buffs that are active all the time. The first one being that every 5th attack causes you to burn your enemy. Second one, it just gives you increased health regen, and the third one gives you an Aegis that every 30 seconds blocks one attack. So, and each of these can be used then to activate a AoE buff that goes out to your party around you. And when I say party is a very loose term in Guild Wars 2. It's really anyone who is within range of you that is an ally. So you'll see me here gathering some copper. You do gain experience for gathering some copper, as you see me gain there. Ooh, I'm really close to leveling. Just trying to find some enemies for us to fight. Not finding any. And ooh, more copper. So, the first F1 skill, to go back to the virtues, getting a little distracted here by the copper. The first one that causes burning, you can activate it and it gives the effect that all allies on their next attack will cause burning. And that's on a 30-second cooldown, so you should be spamming that a lot more than I do in this video. And I found some enemies, so let's take a look at some of the mace skills here. Ouch. That wolf, took me down to half health already. Now, what you saw there is that Ring of Shields. That Ring of Shields, is your number 3 skill. It gives a shield basically to all your allies, which does damage when they get hit. However, if they hit you, you retaliate in quite a violent fashion. So let's go on here. Saw a guy just pop out of the ground there, and he's looking to take a chunk out of me too, so let's see if I can do a little better here. So he gets some chain skills going on here. Throw down a symbol, start regenerating my health a little bit, and just keep smacking him and down he goes. Alright, so that's kind of how the mace gameplay works out. And you'll see when I go through my various weapons that the first 3 skills for all one-handed weapons are all based on that. So your mace, your sword, and your scepters all will have 1 through 3 skills, and all of your two-handed weapons will take up all 5 slots. And your offhands for the Guardian are shield, torch, and focus. So we're just taking a look here. Got Leap of Faith, which is your gap closer, and Binding Blade is a really cool ability which throws out blades and hits your enemies, and you can then reactivate the ability to pull the enemies who are hit by the blades back to you. One thing to note, the symbol for this weapon grants retaliation, which means you deal damage back to enemies who attack you. Now what you just saw me do there is what they call the cross-profession combos. There's a lot of them in the game, and just really starting to experiment around with it. When I noticed, when I was questing, I noticed that if I put that down and leapt, it would blind all nearby enemies when I hit them. So I try to use that a bit more often than not, because blindness causes them to miss their next attack. So let's take a look here, and I think what we're going to do here is get in range to use Binding Blade. Yep, so there goes the blade, and the activated pulled him right to me. So throw down a symbol and start attacking. And then you see a couple allies here as we attack this dragon banner. And I leap and completely overshoot my target. No, trying to figure out what the heck knocked me down, and I'm pretty sure it's that ballista up there. Not the dragon banner that I'm targeting. So we head back up the hill, notice that it is the spear thrower that knocked me over, and we take it out. So let's switch weapons. Let's switch to sword and torch. Not that torch. Yeah, let's use the better torch. And hammer. Now, let's get to somewhere safe-ish so I can kind of show you what the abilities of the hammer are and the sword and torch are. Alright, so the hammer is your AoE weapon, dealing lots of AoE damage with every swing. With its last skill in the chain skills, putting down a symbol of its own. The number 2 skill is just an AoE. The number 3 is a line-based attack, which then immobilizes enemies.
This'll be fun.
Which is good. The 4th attack launches enemies, and the 5th attack is like a the 5th skill with the mace is kind of a sumo ring, which is really kind of cool. When I say sumo ring, it's really called the ring of warding, which means when you put it down, enemies trapped in the ring cannot leave the ring, and enemies outside of the ring cannot enter the ring. And I'll be showing that skill later. So right now what I've got is the sword and torch combination. The first 3 skills are from the sword, the second 2 are from the torch. First one is your chain skill, second one is your blinding blade, which allows you to teleport to your foe and blind them. Which I don't do so well at showing here. Your number 3 skill is a defensive skill, but it's a defense-offense combo. When you activate it, it deflects all projectiles that are coming at you, and sends out waves of blades at your foe. So, in the same time, you know, good defense makes for a good offense. Your 4th skill there was the, you saw me breathing fire. Good for doing that. Let me pick up some armor here for the dynamic event. And as we attack this thing, you'll see me activate the number 5 ability, which then I activate again to do extra damage. The number 5 ability, when you activate it, kind of immolates yourself. For those of you who've ever played Warcraft, you know, at all. And then you can reactivate it to throw the fire at your enemy and deal more damage. However, this lengthens the cooldown timer by quite a bit. Alright, so let's switch back to hammer and take a look at that. So here you see me use a couple of abilities. There's the AoE, the number 2, number 3. Caught that enemy in the back there. Here's number 5. As I pop Shelter. Shelter is your first healing skill you get, which blocks all attacks that come at you for 2 seconds and then heals you for an amount. It's a good skill, especially for its secondary of being able to help you out there. Kind of throw down some things there, get out of the way, and smack them. Alright. So to talk for a quick second, let's switch weapons again. We'll switch to Scepter and Focus and Staff. There we go. Staff, your first skill is Wave of Wrath, which is a conal AoE in front of you. Orb of Light sends out a little orb that you can detonate to heal allies and damage enemies further. The staff gives you your only targetable symbol. It's a symbol of swiftness, which does damage to enemies as they stand on it, but also granting swiftness, or in other words, increased movement speed to your allies who step over it. Number 4 puts down a line, which then makes enemies unable to pass through it. And number 5 draws nearby conditions onto you, but grants you a bunch of boons at the same time. So as we see here, this guy came up and my Aegis blocked one attack, and he disappeared. There he is again. as you just see me just chaining the conal AoE in front of me. Throw down that symbol, and I stepped on it to give myself some increased speed, and caught up to him and killed him. I'm going to take a break from talking about weapon skills for a second and talk about utility skills for real briefly. Utility skills for the Guardian break down into one of several categories. You have your spirit weapons, such as the Hammer of Wisdom, which summons a arcane weapon to defend you. Hammer's just one of them, and all of them have a secondary effect. Hammer's one, Sword's another, Bow's the third, and Shield is the fourth. You have Shouts, which then, give AoE buffs, to you and all allies around you. You have Consecrations, which are zones that you can create. I don't show any of those in this video, sorry. And then you have Meditations, which then allows you to cleanse yourself of certain conditions and gain buffs and stuff. So as you see here that I'm going to attack with the Scepter, the little orbs you see flying out is the number 1 ability. Number 2 that I'm going to show here momentarily is throws a bunch of fists into the area. The number 3 is a single target immobilize. The number 4 skill is from the Focus, which then sends out a ball of energy that damages and blinds enemies and regens health for those hit for allies. And number 5 is Shield of Wrath, which absorbs up to 3 attacks, and if it doesn't absorb the attacks by the time it expires, it explodes. And here I show it here. Try to get in range so it explodes and damages. I don't think I quite succeeded in that. So that's all I've got for skills. One last utility skill thing to class to talk about is your signets. Signets are very similar to what the Elementalist has, where they apply passive buffs, and then you can activate for an additional thing. So thanks for watching, guys. That's all I've got for this video, and I hope to see you in the next beta.